Hi guys, I'm working on annual 2019 Taroscopes. They're actually lots of fun. They give you lots of insight about every single segment of your life, and it's kind of like divided by quarters. It's divided by section of your life, and it's going to be a really interesting guide. It was really well received last year. So now this is your time to get them one sign for 1995 or all signs. So you can check your ascendant, you can check your moon sign, you can check your friends, you know, somebody that you're like having an eye on for $39.95. It is a really good time to order right now, because the moment when I deliver the first one, the price is going up to $29.95 and to $39.95. So yeah, I invite you to order. Like, the link is down in the description. You can see it, you can go right there, and this is like really good time to take advantage of. So for those of you who are steady subscribers, please, you know, do that. It's great for you, it's great for me to support my channel. And those of you who are here the first time, you can actually check my timelines, and you can see I released them somewhere late in July, so you can see how they look like. Okay guys, so let's start with the reading. Hi Taurus, and welcome to your monthlies. This is like for the next 30 days. Make sure you are checking your ascendant, you're checking your moon sign. These are all kind of different aspects. This is a general reading, so hence sometimes messages directed to the one sitting next to you in the Taurus group, and hence kind of like you have to check as much as possible. Of course, you can always contact me for your private reading. So let me start. Taurus. Oops. Yikes. I did get this message from my meditation. We are going to see how this relates. For now, you do have the Miser card, which I said yikes, but I will tell you how to work around this. And then we have Trust. I love this card. So, and it was the second one, so yay, right? Let's see. Taurus. Wow, that's good. Flower of Life. Love this card. I used to draw these like Flower of Life designs with the circles when I was a kid. Was obsessed with it. And if I ever do tarot deck, which is kind of seems to be elusive at this time, it's going to have it on the back. Ocean, ebb and flow. And let's see your romance. Let me zoom this in for you for now so you can see this better. Voila. And you're probably hearing the wind. We have high winds in Toronto today. Okay, Taurus. Forgiving and learning. So where do I start over here? Let me start from this Flower of Life, right? Because the Flower of Life is like really all-encompassing. It says you are born of one design. You are related to everything in the universe, right? So there is like definitely talking about there is like this pattern and design in universe. We see the replica of it all over the place, right? So here we see this geometric figure made of evenly spaced overlapping circles, right? So but this symbol is about 6,000 years old, and it was first found in Egypt, right? I believe it was a Syrian temple. And this is regarded as the basis of all creation and basis of all sacred patterns and sacred geometry. Sacred geometry, if you haven't heard of the term, Google it. It's very interesting. You'll find how modern basically companies are using that in their logos. And sacred geometry has the special powers, if you wish. So this is one of those motives, having the circular feel. And I can tell you, because in my previous life I was a designer, and circular is always the key, always, because sharp edges are making you feel like see here, like somebody is like throwing the knife at you. It never feels comfortable when you kind of like somebody comes to you as this, and somebody comes to you with it like smooth edge. You probably can feel it right now in yourself. So guys, this is clearly telling me that whatever you're going through or whatever is happening right now, it is It is that now I'm finally reaching why now. You're here for a reason. Everything around you here is for a reason. You probably have to realize that it was like not just a fluke, you're just like walking and just like it's happening. So everything you do and feel and think, it's connected to the world and people around you. You probably are advised to live your life with awareness, right? And this is kind of also kind of like emphasized in this particular card. Ebb and flow, it really never stops, right? This is like something that keeps on going back and forth with basically moon influencing it. And we see this ocean having this magic life, if you wish, having this regular rhythm, which is almost like their own heart. And these waves are kind of like continue to roll to the shore in endless patterns. And it's very relaxing. After all, we go onto vacation and we just like stare at it, right? So I really think, and this ebb and flow of emotion, we always want to feel happy, especially like us living in the Western societies, the first world, like we are like obsessed with being happy. And you know, like, why is your face like that? What's wrong? Like, smile, cheer up, right? Yeah, I agree with positive attitudes are very important, because life not always gives you like, I mean, great kind of like deck of cards, and you have to deal with what you are given, right? So this is really talking about this like fluidity. Whatever is happening, don't get captured, because you know what Buddhists say, this too shall pass. So whether this is good or bad, kind of like things are going in this kind of like perpetual flow. And maybe you have been fighting it. Maybe you were just like trying to kind of like climb up. No, I have to be problem free, issues free, and hurt free, anger free, sorrow free. But the more we want to get away from it, the heavier those problems get. And this is why this card showed up. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. So don't try to constrict yourself from your emotions. It is kind of like very much like trying to kind of like stem the ties that grow even more forceful with every attempt that we humans make to kind of like discipline them, right? Resist them. So don't minimize and don't exaggerate the emotions and intensity of the emotions that are coming your way, because it is like something really important that is kind of like giving you clues, right? You never see an animal kind of like saying, oh, you know what, I'm not going to feel this way, and I shouldn't be feeling happy or shouldn't be feeling bad. It's just like it is. They are accepting, and that's kind of like the lovely thing about them. Guess what? They are living in the now. And if you guys are here listening to this reading in order to go to the higher spiritual quest, then I challenge you to read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It is a little bit complex. Maybe you would want to go with the New Earth. New Earth is light reading compared to The Power of Now, because it's so intense that you can go through it and through it and through it and always find something new. So let's go to this very first card that came through the miser. So look at this woman. She seemingly has everything. And I know your earth sign. This is definitely relating to earth sign. So this is really kind of like telling you, hey, you know, when you look in the mirror, do you see yourself accumulating so much stuff that, you know, it's all inside, you're adorning yourself, and you see kind of like this stuff looks like she is not even anymore appearing like there's no humanity over here, right? So this card is definitely challenging us to look at what basically we are clinging to, because look at here, this jewelry box or something she's clinging to, and the fur and the feathers, everything is there, the best the money can buy. But she is alone, and she is probably lonely. And if you look at her face, talking about happy, you can see that the life left impression. My mom always said to me, look, at 19, you have a face that you have been born with. with 40, you'll have a face that you deserve. So yeah, I'm using daily moisturizer, just like making sure. So you don't need to have a big bank balance or maybe box full of jewels or chocolates. This is kind of like telling you you need to share your time with a friend, or even take a risk at expressing your love to somebody else. You know, it's, you know, treasures become tarnished and worthless. Just like if you seal the well, its water is there, something fresh, something nice, but it's sealed, you don't get there, right? So it is like the card about sharing. You need to loosen your grip and kind of like feel that freedom and expansiveness that sharing can give. So in the old times, they used to have you know, church and community things where people would kind of like congregate and do things together. And it was like very, very important for all of us to do that. The country I come from, Croatia, we used to kind of, and I really didn't participate in that myself, because I was too young, but it was like all this like post-war rebuilding the country, and people will go on this kind of like work. I don't know if it sounds good. It doesn't sound good saying a work camp, because it was really voluntarily, where you would go with a group of people, with a group of your friends, and you will build a road, for example, right? And then years later saying, you know, this has my sweat and tears in it. And it's like something really empowering. It's like Habitat for Humanity, where people volunteer to help others build. So it's kind of like that concept, right? And let's get to the best card. And this is again about now. When you're jumping, are you thinking about what you need to cook that day? Are you thinking what needs to go on your grocery list? Or are you thinking how somebody wronged you or how sad you are? I don't think so, right? So this is a bungee jumping without a cord. And this requires absolute trust. There is like no reservation. There is like no thinking of anything else. And of course, this is really scary. So this person is not scared because they know, and you can see this like this pink kind of like thing. It's almost like jumping onto something really soft, right? So we kind of like don't really think in this situation, you know, okay, I trust that I know what to do now, but you know, I will kind of like take a whole bunch of things and pack it with me to jump. No, you don't grab that, what we call it, baggage. You just jump, and there is like hardly a thought of what happens next. That's the ultimate staying in the now. So there is like this, the leap, the magic leap, that's the thing. And this is like fun of that free fall through the empty sky. So this is really a hint over here that we see something welcoming, soft, kind of like yummy, pink, probably rose petals. I kind of like thought about the cotton candy over here, kind of like something that is like so amazing that almost like looks like fairy tale like, story like. So guess what? We are going from constrain to open your arms and make that leap, guys. There is like some kind of like forgiveness. You need to kind of like leave things. You need to work with things and allow things to be, and things are going to work out. Okay, so let me now see what else is coming over here. I'm using the deck, and I'm going to clarify that with gypsy cards in a second. So let's start. I was so excited to see Earth King over here. So look, you know, this is like somebody who is protecting their family and their clan. This is basically your card, guys. And it's like somebody warm-hearted, and those people who come to your presence, they really feel secure, right? And you know, there's like somebody who really cares about family and the past, and also for the legacy and the future, right? So it is really time for you, given that you got a now card, that you have to realize, especially also have the Sky Queen behind, that basically the biggest gift you can give to somebody is a gift of independence. So tell those who depend on you that they need to stand on their own and handle their own problems, especially when they come like to financial matters. You are actually not doing them any favors by supporting them into state of dependency. Yes, you could be caring and loving and everything, but you're not going to be here forever. And you know what they say, don't give them the fish, teach them how to fish. Do that. It is actually more kinder and more helpful in the long run to let them take care of themselves. So let's see what else do we have. And I probably will need to zoom out a bit so you can see it. We have 4 of C. There is like somebody here disappointed or maybe even tired, right? It is like nothing that is really grabbing your attention or holding your interest, and maybe you just like really want to maintain a status quo. But this is also now, even though this kitty's eyes, and I don't know, look at this, it looks like a little bit maybe even sad, right? But you know, this really talks about the choices that are being offered. If you don't see the choice you like, then don't choose yet. People always interpret this card as a negative, but the truth is, if nothing is right, well, you know, there is one boyfriend and a second and third and fourth, and people tell you, well, what, you couldn't choose, like you're too choosy. Well, what if the shoe didn't fit and you knew that? Right? We live in fast times. It is like much more difficult than before. We require more from ourselves and from the others. So relationships are becoming an art. So it is like really important over here also, given that this is like a C, a 4 of C, so it's a 4 of Cups, that you know, listen to your dreams and that you pay attention to your daydreams and to your visions. So anything that is like a sign, omen, or psychic message is like really important to be heard. And 9 of Scythes, and it's interesting you had the Devil card coming through as I was shuffling, which again goes back to indulgence, overindulgence, overpride, no such a word, right? But 9 of Scythes, so what's happening here? 9 of Scythes would be 9 of Swords, and we see every possible nightmare situation over here. As you can see, Kitty is dreaming about bugs and fire and dogs and birds, and if you ever watch the cat sleeping, sometimes they twitch, and you know they're not going through this like really best of times, right? So when this card really shows up, that again is going back, do not let fear overtake you, right? Do you remember the first time you were learning to swim? It was like, I'm going to drown. It's the same thing. You need to kind of like take that leap of faith. You need to do that, right? Don't get caught in the nightmare vision of your life. Don't really think that, you know, those fears have connection with reality. Maybe they're just in your own head, right? So you need to wake up and put things in perspective, right? And you need to kind of like conquer the issues that are coming your way. So what has happened in the past? Yay, the Tower. So it was like some kind of foundation that hasn't been built properly. When the Tower shows up, things are generally shaken in a way that most of us don't really like, because Tower is the card that shows up like, I mean, 3 kind of like steps down the road from the Death card. And the Death card is saying, gosh, you really need to kind of like transform yourself. You kind of like need to do something about you, right? And then you're going through the severe steps. You're first trying to balance things, and then you're trying to overindulge and saying, oh, forget it, this balancing was too hard. And then if this doesn't work out, right, this shows up. And this is really talking about some foundations starting to shake, and your instinct for survival is kicking in, and because you're an earth sign, you really want to preserve status quo, right? So you need to learn the lessons from falling, which is kind of like being adaptable, getting a perspective, being resourceful, knowing how to jump back on your feet and definitely kind of like have the confidence. So it looks like that you had some kind of a crisis that were manifesting somewhere in the past, and this is kind of like giving you this tint of what's going on. Some of you could be actually overly optimistic or overly demanding, while the others could be actually really, really depressed. And guess what? If you stay in the now, you cannot be depressed. Did you know that? You can only be depressed or fearful when you think about the past or the future, right? So we obsessed about things we didn't do in the past. Maybe we have a guilt conscience, maybe we have remorse, maybe we have a sadness, right? Or anticipation of the future that can be stressful or uninviting, can actually create anxiety and stress for the future. In the now, what means being in the now? Breathing right now and focusing on, well, right now I'm just like doing the cards. I'm not thinking about my dad who is severely kind of like spiraling down. I'm not thinking about a whole bunch of homework and a whole bunch of, you know, work that I still need to do. I am only here with you, Taurus, and like you have 100% my attention, and that's all there is. So what is the base? You have a 2 of Earth. So there is like a need for some kind of balancing. Their balance is something which is kind of really interesting. It's actually more than that, because in this particular card, look at the kitty. 2 of Earth is like 2 of Pentacles, is in this particular thing trying to balance these two apples on a head. And we know that this is not going to really last forever, right? So maybe this is really telling you guys something that was out of balance needs to be released. You cannot block yourself and thinking that by blocking yourself you're going to prevent things of happening. You simply kind of like have to embrace this equilibrium, that things are kind of like going through this ebb and flow, and there is like absolutely no need to panic. It's kind of like really important for you to understand that maybe you have taken too many issues at once and you need to slow down and kind of like gain control and go back to that confident spot that this Earth King, gorgeous Earth King, has. And maybe also you are trying to jump higher and do more, and you're like taking care of too many people. Why don't you take care of yourself for a change? I'm not saying just neglect everybody else, but you need to give them a greater gift, the gift of independence. So let's see what's above you. We have consequences reversed. So we see here kitty all tangled up. Oh boy, did we ever kind of like witness this scene? If you ever anybody's like owner of a cat, kind of like they can create a big mess. You cannot undo this mess anymore. So the consequences card is a major arcana, and I always call this card my karma card, and this is kind of like it's talking about this universal balance. So now you have already 2 cards that are really talking about, hey, time to balance, right? So it tells me about some kind of like possible negative entanglements, and you need to kind of like start to loosening up these strings. Maybe you were over extended. Again, this is coming to me. And also I think another keyword here is thread, and you need to follow the thread of your actions back to the beginning and understand the lessons that you have learned along the way. This is connecting to this Tower card, right? Something that has shaken your faith, or things that you thought they are working and you know there is no problem and there is like no issue, but things are not necessarily working out. So let's see immediately what's going to happen. 8 of Sky. So there is like, again, well, this is like, again, fear. And it's again of, oh my God, I'm going to get stuck. I'm struggling here. I am not able to get out. And guess what happens when the panic sets in? When the panic sets in, and look at this, we see the dark coming, we see the birds above, we see this like feeling like a prison. But the truth is, the more you struggle, did you ever try to kind of like release the cat when they're stuck in the shower curtain and they just like they just like wiggle, 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 making it worse. You're thinking going to like rip off their nail. The point is like here to relax. By relaxing, you can come up with ideas that you need to come up with and find a way out. So things will not be done by force. Things have to be done in installments. I definitely see here there is like this like fine juggling that's happening all over the place, and it is very, very significant over here. Your feelings. 6 of Fire. Maybe you feel underappreciated because look here, we see the kitties, so 6 of Wands, like everybody's bringing their kind of like accolades. So here's the mouse, and here's the bird, and here's the bug, and here's the catnip, and feeling kind of like a superstar for a day. It's a good feeling, right? But it came reversed. So maybe you feel that you deserve more, that, you know, people should more honor things that you're bringing into life. It really tells me more about positioning that is going to happen. It also could mean that you feel so powerful, right? Just like what we had over here. And when this kind of like power starts to show, that it's maybe getting into your head, right? So it's again talking about this like flower of life. It's a one design. Is your thinking kind of like compatible with kind of like that flow, with that ebb and flow? Or are you trying to control something? Whenever you see controlling, and of course when you're king, there is like some element of control over here, right? But this is like definitely talking about that you need to watch this ebb and flow, because if you try to push certain things on the other people, they'll withdraw, and you know, they might turn on you later through jealousy or through kind of like resentment. So this is really simple. Just act with integrity, and that's what needs to happen. And you know what, it really looks to me also that maybe you have been hurt and that you erected your walls really, really, really high. But not only did you erect the walls, but you sealed yourself in. There is like this protective cocoon. And trust me, I do understand that cocoon, because I have been there too. And you feel, well, you know, this is like so painful out there. I'm staying over here. I'm not going to get hurt. And then you don't take chances. Then you don't take risks. Then, just as magic, that flower of life, instead of opening, it is closing down, because it cannot grow in that small place that is done. Who basically suffers? You do. So the very thing that maybe protected you in the first place is just like putting a band-aid on the wound. Yeah, it does protect, but you cannot keep that forever. At one point, it needs to kind of come out, and it needs to breathe. So this is the same message I'm getting here for you. So let's see your environment. Wow, you have strength. That's lovely. That is really talking about, you know, other people. You need to kind of like really reach out. The other people are there to kind of like support you. You're not going to have much trouble, because this kind of like reminds me over here of this element of juggle, but it's like much, much stronger over here, because when the strength card shows up, we kind of sometimes act like on impulse, or you know, maybe we don't, maybe we have noble, you know, motivations, but you know, something kind of gets messed up. Keep in mind, this is in your environment, right? So there is like somebody who can actually assist you, somebody who maybe have overcome that impulsiveness, and right now they're walking that higher path. And this is a courage and the strength card, and this is like somebody who is absolutely possibly able to turn you around and carry you through any challenge. So it could be a confidant, it could be somebody with whom you can be vulnerable, where you can admit things that you need to admit. Because look, I have this kind of like triangle that is forming with these major arcanas that are really telling me the story that you're going from turmoil and things kind of like getting out of balance, and it's kind of like cyclical for you. It comes and goes. and you are really being earth signs, so the basically go-to place is like, I need to protect myself, even though sometimes being on your own and doing everything on your own looks like it's kind of like lonely space there on the top. And yet, because you have it such a hard time in life, you are trying to make it so soft for the others. But trust me, you're really not doing them any favor by giving them everything you can give. Sometimes things work out better when you understand that you're not buying that love, and you're not really, maybe you're making easier and resolving the problem in the moment, but it is like so much better to actually make people do that themselves. For example, they did a study about couples who are purchasing the house. So the couples who got their money from their relatives' wedding or whatnot, right, who purchased the house, usually went to buy more than they can afford. And couples who had to earn things together, they went for a kind of more modest house. So you would tend to think that bigger house, more space, less problems. Not the case. Overwhelmingly not the case. In fact, the couples that have been working together toward this goal and were saving to actually buy their own home, 80% of them stayed together. Where the couples who kind of like had all this kind of help from friends and family, parents, whatnot, right? Only 35%. So I guess it's not probably the only element, so don't just go with this, but it was kind of like really interesting that they made a study. So it goes to show that there is like this vigor, that trust, that hey, you know, this process of life is more important than goals, and kind of like continue to this ebb and flow. It's more interesting. And then you have Seven of Fire, and this is in your hopes and your fears. So it is like somebody who is obviously fur is flying. Maybe somebody caught a fire over here, but it's also somebody who is holding their position, right? You had this like Six of Fire here. So this is what I said. In the Six of Fire, the danger over here when it reverses is that all these other kitties are now going to turn on you, which is exactly what is happening at this stage, right? So but keep in mind something here, that you did manage to get and work really hard for something, and maybe the odds are against you, but you're in a position of power as long as you're just, and this just, being balanced keeps coming through. So others will definitely challenge you. Maybe this is your fear that you're being challenged, that things are not going to work out, but people will also test your commitment to the course that you have chosen. So kind of like, are you sure? So you need to stay firm, and you need to kind of like go with your ideals, and that's the answer. And where is this heading? Five of Sea. Wow. Five of Sea, I guess this is like talking about that nightmare that I saw here, because we had Four of Sea, so we have cards that are continuing. So there's like somebody who is going from this overwhelming lethargy, and I don't know about this, to Five of Sea. So the kitty fell into the pond over here and doesn't feel happy. It is kind of like very strange, because look, it's all relative. You are looking unhappy because you were trying to get a fish, but instead of the fish you just got all wet. But the bigger picture is that everything around is like so beautiful that everything around has to be cherished and honored, right? And that when you have a setback or rejection, you need to see things. You need to see what beauty still resides around you. So don't kind of like cave into disappointments. And again, you keep getting that reminder over and over again. And something that you wanted maybe didn't come to you yet. You just need to pull yourself together and try it again. You guys are going through something that is challenging, but this is like what I see, a blueprint for basically somebody who is a winner in life. A blueprint for somebody who can actually stretch and go further than anticipated, and somebody who is not going to cave in to any setbacks. Okay, so I actually want to clarify a few things over here. So these two cards, I want to see the Six of Fire. Just kind of give me more sense of what's going on. You have Messenger and you have Consolation. So it could be some kind of like messages from somebody. Also, it could feel that, as I said initially, that somebody is not giving you accolades you deserve, right? And maybe you will wrap this in, kind of throw it in the face. I'm doing all of these things for you. But when you kind of like do that and kind of like wrap the gifts in other people's face, they actually even value it even less. So it's kind of like tooting your own horn is like tooting none. But there is like something that might be some kind of a news, it could be simply that you hear something through the grapevine, because this is not direct communication, obviously it's indirect. But whatever happens, it's going to be sort of gray lining, and it's going to be sort of like something that is a gift in disguise, because you're getting this Consolation card. And look, the angel is appearing here with money and with power and with solution. It looks like that, kind of getting more insight. So he's reading either the book or that letter, and maybe somebody sent you something that is making you sad, right? And for example, the worst case scenario, somebody dumps you. Somebody saying, I am dumping you because this and this and this and this. You're angry, you're sad, you're feeling unappreciated, you feel kind of like your life is kind of like sinking, everything that you believed in is sort of like lost. But the truth is, if you look on the flip side, everything that you're being told, you can look into that. You can see validation. Some of the stuff you're not going to see as validated, other stuff you will. And then you can change them, and you can even go back to that person, but being this kind of like 2.0 version. And that's going to work out. That's going to feel, oh my gosh, yes, thank you for opening my eyes. People kind of like that when they open their heart to you, and it's so hard to say something negative to another person. Then if you hear it and you're not snapping back at them, then they really, really appreciate you 10 times more. So let me see this Eight of Sky. What is like about being stuck? What is making you stuck? This is like really, because you also had a Nine of Sky, something going through your head. But whatever it was, I can see here 7, 8, and 9. There is like the process. Something is ending over here, so I want to see what? Eight of Sky. I was like wondering, how come I don't have people? I have you. You're still proud here. Some of you are protective, self-protective, blocking the world off, and some of you are stewing inside. Some of you are stewing about other people's actions. So getting Lord, and you're getting young woman. Lord was reversed. So it could be somebody that has betrayed you. Lord sometimes appears as a married guy. Lord sometimes comes as the person who might even, in the moment when things are happening, have good intentions and make all the promises that at a point they thought would happen. But in time, these things don't happen. In time, you know, it keeps looking that goalpost long, like further and further away. It could have been that there was like somebody who is involved, who is preventing something of moving forward, and maybe this is why you feel stuck. The goal that you wanted to have, and that's why you kind of like resign. Oh, it's not moving again. This is not done again. It could be that there is like somebody else involved in a situation, or it could be simply that children are the obstacle, and children could have a big role to play in this particular situation. And I want to see this like Five of Sea. Why is this Five of Sea here, and what you kind of like really watch this time around? Okay, Five of Sea. Yes, that makes sense. You have Scholar and you have Reverse Reunion. So you really, I think some of you are anticipating somebody from the past. And I can also see that some of you are going through something very strenuous, maybe even divorce, maybe even something that for some reason is causing you this like feeling of rejection and of pain. And keep in mind that here was also Sky Queen below. I don't look at the second card unless it's the major. Sky Queen is like the one who actually needs to minimize and organize things and put them in the proper kind of like brackets, right? Spoons go with spoons, forks goes with forks. Do not mix. Just because the person was nice 5 years ago, it doesn't mean they are right now. So 5 years ago is this box. Now is this box. Remember, you're getting now over here, really, really with big letters. So this is saying to you that you need to kind of like research things more. Maybe find out more about this person. Not allow any rejection to be a setback. Allow a rejection to be a motivator to move forward if there is any. This doesn't have to be a big deal, especially not for those who are not looking for somebody or not feeling rejected. This simply means that you shouldn't get discouraged and you should continue with your plans, with kind of like your life, but you have to release the chains, you have to release the walls, you have to open your arms and trust. So Taurus, let's get one more card to seal your reading. Taurus, you're getting slow and steady. That really to me sounds like an earth sign, but it came reversed. So let's see what is this all about. It says, pushing things forward impulsively will not only prevent success, but potentially cause more trouble than you are prepared to handle. Moving too quickly will only yield unripe fruit with a bitter taste. Slow down, breathe, meditate. You are not a human doing, you are a human being. Just be. Just be. Isn't that now what I'm telling you? Everything will work out if you can apply the brakes and become more aware of what's happening in this moment. A calm focus on the now, breathing in the beauty of your surroundings will restore your power to consciously co-create your world. All fruits ripen in their own time. And some fruits don't even ripen on a tree. I don't know if you ever bought a pear, but you have to take the pear home and wait for it to ripen. So guys, this is to me very significant what comes through. Maybe you want to push results, your earth sign after all, but it's telling you it's ebb and flow. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you need a little bit more effort. You have to, in this period of time, eliminate things that are not productive for you. Maybe they served you well, like the band-aid that you put on when you had a wound, but wound is not there. But that band-aid is that visual emotional trigger about certain things that happen. Do not go toward things that are making you sad, and live in the now, where you're able to kind of like heal and position yourself differently. So my dear Taurus, as I said, please check your ascendant, check your moon sign, and to get your own reading. And you can contact me via my website, cattarot.ca. All my contact information is below. And until the next time, you know that I love you. All the best, my friends.